Hey guys, what's going on? So somebody used a staff of worms on me, and the first thing I decided to do was check out this motherfucking Oblivion remaster that shadow dropped out of nowhere. Okay, well, by out of nowhere, I mean that literally everybody knew about it, and leakers correctly assumed when the game would come out, at least on the third or fourth try. But at any rate, the Oblivion remaster is here, so it's time to remaster my very first challenge run, completing the game on the maximum difficulty. So I'm doing this for a couple of reasons. Firstly, I just want to check out the game, see what's different, see what old tricks still work, that kind of thing. And secondly, the first time I tried this in the original Oblivion, the video came out like absolute ass. But to be fair, it was the first one I ever did, but still. I'd like to do it again, but better this time, and the remaster is a perfect excuse to do it again. Here are the rules for the run. Rule number 1, the difficulty will be set to master for the entire playthrough. Rule number 2, no glitches allowed, not that I even know how to do any if they do exist. I mean, it's a fucking Bethesda game, I'm sure there are about a million glitches. Exploits, however, will be totally allowed. And rule number 3, complete the main quest line. The run is over when Martin turns into Akatosh and does something to Mayron's Dagon that really should be brought to HR. This will also be the first time that I'm actually going to just sit down and play the game and not just farm YouTube shorts, which you should totally check out by the way. So besides my extensive knowledge of the original game, I'll basically be going in completely blind. Will my old tricks from the last run still work? Is master difficulty even remotely as difficult as the maximum difficulty of the original Oblivion? At the time of writing this part of the script, I have no fucking idea. So let's dive right in, shall we? In my original max difficulty video, I created this absolute abomination that we referred to as Fiona from Shrek. This time, I would legitimately spend about 30 minutes with a picture of Fiona on the second monitor trying to make her look more like Fiona. Eventually, I gave up on it with something like this. What do you guys think? Does this remotely look like Fiona? Anyways, we're doing everything just like we did last time, so we go with Breton as our race for boost in some magic stats and higher maximum magicka, since magic is going to be the main method for getting through extremely tanky enemies. We choose our origin to be High Rock because, well, it doesn't really matter for our purposes, but for all the role players out there, there you go. I just gotta say real quick, this isn't a video essay about or a love letter to the remaster. That's for another time, but damn, this character creator is a massive upgrade to the one in the original. Anyways, we name our character Maxine Difficultus V2 and begin the tutorial section thusly. Actually, before we get into that, please take 5 seconds out of your day to like the video and subscribe to the channel. My children will be fed and the wife will be happy. 1,000 likes and I'll do a no-hit, no followers, no spellcasting run of Oblivion Remastered on the maximum difficulty. We immediately get cyberbullied by Valen Dreth in the cell across from us. Don't worry, we'll be back for him, that tree-climbing little... Anywho, a familiar face waltzes into our cell. I, of course, am talking about Boris, the man who witnessed us murder an innocent man in broad daylight that happened to be a Mythic Dawn agent. Oh, and I guess the Emperor's here too, and he informs us that he saw us in his dreams. A little creepy, but we play along. Jokes aside though, I think the Emperor along with all the other NPCs look great here in the remaster. Definitely a graphical upgrade while still keeping the slightly uncanny look of all the NPCs in the original. After a little bit, we get jumped by some Mythic Dawn gooners who try to goon all over the Emperor. But with a little help from everyone but us, the assassins go down swiftly. While the blades are yapping, we switch to third person and watch this absolutely ridiculous run cycle. And finally, we come across our first combat of the game. One single rat. Unlike in the original, this rat is actually beatable, but as you can see, it does so much damage to us with each hit. Mind you, this is a tutorial enemy that's supposed to be super easy to defeat and show you how to play the game. This, as you can imagine, does not bode well for us. In the next room, we come across our very first lockpick, and I gotta say, just the fact that the lockpick isn't controlled by the mouse already makes this new system a massive upgrade. There's no pause buffering trick, unfortunately, so like about 1,000 comments on my lockpicking trick short said, I actually have to, quote, get good scrub. Or, just get the skeleton key! Guys, I know about the skeleton key, I know you can duplicate 1,000 lockpicks, calm down. Besides, there's a way to make all locks trivial in the remaster anyways, but you'll just have to wait until I make that YouTube short. Anyways, I'm getting way off topic. We clam slam this rat and continue on to the next section of the tutorial. We take our first death by trying to fist a zombie, and then it happens again. Check out this clairvoyant spell, by the way. Absolutely wonderful addition to the game. We eventually do kill this zombie and just decide we're a little bitch and run past the rest of the enemies in this section. We encounter the sneak tutorial goblin, kill him, and then die to the next goblin. After that, we just bolt past and run into the Emperor and his goons again. Uriel Septim asks us about our birth sign, and we tell him that our birth sign is the Apprentice. We take the Apprentice for a whopping 100 extra magicka at the cost of 100% weakness to magic. You could argue that's absolutely stupid, and fun fact, many of you do, but I like to live dangerously and we die really quick regardless, and I need to bait comment engagement for my poor build choices. We then encounter our first glitch right here. No idea where our man Boris went. A few deaths later, we are face to face with the Emperor, our sole directive being to guard him with our life. Unfortunately, the gods have different plans and freeze us in time as the Emperor... Oh, god damn, that was brutal. Boris looks like he's about to cry as he explains that he has failed his only job. I'd have to agree, man. What the fuck are you doing? Anyways, he seems surprised that the Emperor gave the Amulet of Kings to someone who looks like us. He tells us that he thinks we're an experienced witch hunter.
But from what I've seen of you, I'm guessing you're an experienced witch hunter. Am I right?
I've never heard Boris say that one before, and honestly, it's not a bad guess. Of course, we'll be creating our own custom class. Thankfully, they completely overhauled the leveling system in the remaster. Without getting into too much detail, basically, rather than having to micromanage and min-max all of your major skills to make sure you get the correct +5s on your attributes on level up, you can just allocate 12 points to whatever 3 attributes you want whenever you do level up, aside from luck, which can still only get 2 points for whatever reason. What does this mean for us? It means we can just put skills we want to use as major skills. Huh, gee, it's almost like that's how it should have been all along or something. Our specialization will be magic, since most of the skills we'll be selecting are magic-based skills. For our favorite attributes, of course, we go with willpower and intelligence for more magicka-based shenanigans. Now with our major skills, the only 2 that matter will be our bread and butter. Conjuration and Destruction. The very low amount of damage we do at this difficulty does not apply to summons or followers, so especially in the early game, we'll be abusing summons and followers to do most of our dirty work. And before you comment that I use followers so this run doesn't count, let me say just one thing. I don't give a shit. It's definitely possible without followers or even summons, but I'd like to have fun. Anyways, as for Destruction, we'll be utilizing spell stacking to deal thousands of damage in one instance to opponents, ensuring that even the tankiest of foes fall in one hit. I'll explain spell stacking in more detail once we start crafting our own spells. To be honest, I don't even know if it works in the remaster, but you'll find that out with me. Don't worry, I have a few backup plans if it doesn't work. None of our other skills will really come into play that much. We choose alchemy as one of our backup plans if spell stacking doesn't work, since at least in the original Oblivion, the damage poison does to enemies is completely unaffected by the difficulty. We slap illusion in there just for fun, although maybe alteration for some shield shenanigans would have been more optimal. Acrobatics and sneak are here because they're funny skills. Seriously, do not underestimate maximum sneak. You can actually get away with a lot more than you might think. Finally, we have mercantile just to give us a slight edge when it comes to selling shit for money. I know these skill choices look absolutely cursed, but if I'm being honest, it almost doesn't matter what you put here anymore, even in a casual playthrough, since you can easily grind most skills, and every skill equally contributes in leveling up. Alrighty then, so after we make our class, Boris hands us a key that lets us get out of the sewer, so we make a beeline straight for the exit, of course remembering to make a save in front of the sewer before leaving. Our first stop will be the arena. We won't be participating, but we will be stealing this 500 gold for free out of this lockbox. I recommend anyone starting a new playthrough do this since it's literally free, because even if you get caught by the guards, they don't actually confiscate the gold you stole. Our next stop will be Fort Farragut north of Shadenhall. You may recognize this place from the Dark Brotherhood quest line. It's where you get Shadowmere and the Purification quest. However, we're coming here for a different reason. If you go to this tree stump, you'll find a trapdoor that leads into the room where you meet Lucian in the quest. And if you pick the lock on this barrel, you'll find 10 poisoned apples. We won't be force-feeding these to Mankar Cameron, although that would be hilarious. Instead, if you take these 10 poisoned apples, leave, wait 3 days, and come back, the apples will respawn. This will be our main way of generating money, since each poisoned apple can be sold for 100 gold each, giving us basically 1,000 gold for a couple minutes of work. This is only one of a few good ways to make money easily, but this method is the most accessible right at the start of the game. While grinding this trick, we have this very strange interaction happen. I'm just going to let the whole thing play.
Take me down! Ah!
You're pathetic. What? What are you looking? You too.
Stay where you are, thief.
Ma'am?
Goodbye.
It's you.
God, I love this game. Anyways, we go to the Imperial City to sell off our golden apples. Golden apples, that should be poisoned apples. Anyways, we go to the Imperial City to sell off our poisoned apples and then begin my absolute favorite thing to do in the entire game. The Mages Guild recommendation quests. We need to do these in order to unlock the spell-making altar. Our first stop will be Skingrad to do the recommendation quest there. Our best friend and channel mascot, Earthor, apparently has gone into some deep shit over at Bleakflat's cave, and it's our job to go rescue him. Why Adrian sent Earthor there and just completely forgot about him, we may never know. But we don't care, we just want to get that spell-making altar online. Before heading there, we purchase a summon scamp spell from Druja, since at least in my experience, the scamp is a much more powerful summon than the default skeleton that you get from taking conjuration as a major skill. Once we get to Bleakflat's cave, our strategy is basically just keep summoning our scamp until all the zombies are dead. 2 zombies versus our 1 scamp? Just use a turn undead spell to get one to run away temporarily. It's tedious, but we managed to kill all the zombies, and what the hell did they do to Urthor? He doesn't look like the adorable chubby wood elf anymore. He just looks and sounds like a nerd. Anyways, we won't be returning him to Skingrad just yet, since he's basically a free follower and will help us with the rest of recommendation quests. Speaking of followers, we can get 2 more by heading to Coral and beginning the Separated at Birth quest. Reynold Jermaine drunkenly insists that he's never been to Shaden Hall and someone must be besmirching his good name. He asks us to head to Shaden Hall and check it out, where we find out that it's actually Reynold's twin brother Gilbert, who's been walking around Shaden Hall. The 2 brothers reunite in Coral and tell us about their old homestead of Weatherly, apparently overrun by ogres. And it's our job to kill the ogres and allow them to return to Weatherly. With the help of Urthor literally punching ogres with his fists and some scamp summons, we managed to eliminate all of the ogres. I don't remember these ogres being so damn tiny. We also come across this very strange glitch where Urthor is standing upright, but the game insists that he's unconscious. We head back to Coral and inform the brothers that all the ogres are gone, and that we will escort them back to Weatherly. Joke's on them though, they're never going to see their home ever again. Instead, they'll be following us for the rest of the game while we complete the main quest. Our next stop will be Anvil for the recommendation quest there. Carahill tells us that a rogue mage has been killing and robbing traveling merchants on the Gold Road between Anvil and Kavach. Huh. Kavach. That sounds like a cool city. I think we might visit sometime. Carahill tells us to meet Ariel Gerard at the Brina Cross Inn to receive further instructions. However, on the way there we come across Maik the Liar, so of course we have to drop everything we're doing and talk to him.
He knows many things others do not. Werewolves? Where? Wolves? Men that are wolves? Many wolves. Everywhere. Many men. That is enough for Maik.
That's gotta be top 5 Maik quotes easily. First things first though, we really need directions to Shaden Hall.
No, friend, I'm afraid I don't know the way to Shaden Hall, but good luck in your travels. Please excuse me.
You know, this new voice actor just doesn't land the, "No, friend, I'm afraid I don't know the way to Shaden Hall," like the original does. Anyway, we rent our room, sleep for an hour, and then head back on the road to meet this rogue mage. Surprise, surprise, it's the Altmer lady we met at the Brina Cross Inn. We kill her on the first try. We kill her on the second try. After informing Carahill of the rogue mage's defeat, we head over to Coral to begin the Fingers of the Mountain quest for our recommendation. For this quest hold on a second, I just had a brain blast. So this remaster comes with all the DLC, so I've got a crazy idea. Why don't we just unlock Frostcrack Spire instead of doing all of these boring ass recommendation quests for the 1000th time? Huh? How's that sound? I like that idea. Around here on the map, we find the path up the Frostcrag Spire. Aside from getting jumped by a million billion wolves, the journey up to the top is pretty easy. We quickly pick the lock at the entrance, only to find out that the place is completely empty. Conveniently, we can buy all this stuff to fix this puppy at the Mystic Emporium in the Imperial City. When we arrive at the Mystic Emporium, we find out that Aurelinway not only has no pants on, she also has no legs. Unfortunately, we do not have quite enough funds to purchase everything we need, so it's time to grind our poisoned apples even more. After a little bit of that, we finally have enough money to purchase the rest of Frostcrack Spire. In hindsight, we could have saved a lot of time just by foregoing the vault and bedroom and buying just the mage tallow candle, since that's all we need to craft the spells. But oh well, we head back to Frostcrack Spire, insert our mage tallow candles, and finally get to spell making. A quick stop back to the Imperial City to purchase a Weakness to Fire spell later, and we craft our first of 3 spells. Essentially, our plan is to craft 3 different spells. The first 2 spells will both have Weakness to Fire 100% and Weakness to Magic 100% for 5 seconds. It works like this. We cast our first spell that will make the target 100% weak to fire and magic for 5 seconds. Then, we hotkey to our second spell that has the exact same effect and cast that. Effects from the same spell casted repeatedly don't stack magical weakness, but if it's a different spell, even with the exact same effects, it will stack. This means that both the weakness to fire and weakness to magic will be amplified by the previous spell's weakness to magic effect. If needed, we can then switch back to our first spell, cast it, switch to the second spell, cast that. Basically, we do this infinitely as long as we have the magicka for it. And the weakness applied to the target will grow exponentially. Then for our final spell, we only have to craft a spell that does a little bit of fire damage over time. Of course, if we stack the spells correctly, this will do a shitload of damage to the target. Realistically, we only need about 3 or 4 stacks of weakness to fire and magic to basically one-shot any enemy in the game. According to the wiki, with 4 spell stacks, we'll be doing about 14,000 damage. Way more health than most things in the game. This may seem overkill, but these enemies at this difficulty are absolute tanks, so this is going to be the best way to deal damage to our enemies ourselves. Now you may be asking, Mankar Cameron has a ton of spell reflection and absorption. What are you going to do then, huh? Huh, Mr. YouTuber? To that I say, don't worry. I have a plan, Arthur. After creating our spells, we have a terrible realization. We need to be level 50 in destruction to even cast them. In the original Oblivion, it was easy to craft cheap spells that you could cast repeatedly to level up any spell skill quickly, since you gain flat XP every time you cast a spell. However, as far as I'm aware, it works differently in the remaster. I've been in the lab trying to come up with spells to quickly increase skills, but none of the ones I used before work now. I'm not totally sure, but I think the amount of XP you gain is now scaled with the magnitude of the spell you casted. If you guys know how it works or know a good video explaining it, please do let me know in the comments. For now, the best we have is this spell that gives us 100% wings to fire and fortifies our magicka, with light on touch at the end, since the animation for on touch is quicker than the animation for on self. Basically, we run around this room casting the spell for about 10 minutes until we can get our destruction skill up to level 50. Once we can cast our spells, we go ahead and hotkey them and try it out on poor Earthor to see if it works, and well... we do Earthor a little special favor for the trouble. Anyways, we go downstairs and go ahead and take a ton of level ups to increase our intelligence and willpower. Of course, this will make the enemies harder, but I don't mind the challenge, and plus we want to grow a magical bar as much as possible. And finally, it is time to begin the main quest. We rendezvous with Joffrey at the Wayne Priory. He informs us that only somebody as crazy as Uriel Septon would give the Amulet of Kings to someone of our extreme ineptitude. However, Uriel apparently has an illegitimate child named Martin that has a legitimate claim to the throne, and can relight the dragon fires to stop the Oblivion invasion on Tamriel. He resides in the beautiful city of Kvatch, serving as a priest to Akatosh. Sounds like a fun day trip. Let's head to Kvatch, maybe get some ice cream and go to the visitor center. Oh. We head straight into the Oblivion Gate and pick up this guy as a follower, growing our army even larger. I gotta say too, these Oblivion realms look amazing in the remaster. Our main strategy will be to let our followers distract and kill as many enemies as possible. Actually, now that I think about it, that's obviously the strategy for basically the entire game. We head into the tower and think we're him by trying to duel this Dremora. We actually got third-partied in Oblivion, dude, what the fuck? Clanfears are no joke. They do a ton of melee damage and reflect any melee damage that you do to them. We actually die here a few more times before we decide to just run past everything. We then reach a required enemy kill. This guy has the key we need to progress later on. Of course, we do not get him the first try. We then have the brilliant idea of using our Breton Dragon Skin power to give us 50% shield, which actually does help quite a bit. We shall be utilizing that more. We push Earthor off the bridge just for our own entertainment. Our friends clear out some enemies, and we continue our way up the tower. Eventually, we make it to the room with the Sigil Stone. As you probably know, Sigil Stones have unique enchantments that you can add to armor or weapons. If you quick save in front of the Sigil Stone, you can actually keep quick loading until you get the enchantment effect that you want. For our purposes, we will be rolling the Sigil Stone until we get a shield enchantment. Since all of our spells are on touch, it would help to be a little tankier so we can get closer to melee enemies without dying. We'll get a few more Sigil Stones, so by the end, we should have about 80% shield when we combine it with our Dragon Skin power. After we leave the gate, we encounter a very strange bug where we cannot equip or use anything in our inventory, instead just dropping them when we click on them. I have no idea how this happens, but I had to reset the entire game just to fix it. Once that's fixed, we speak with the Captain Savly and Mattius, and help him clear out the danger that are right outside the cathedral. After that, we head inside the cathedral and meet Brother Martin, the heir apparent to the Septim throne. He calls us a fool, but then immediately believes us when we tell him that the Emperor sent us to find him. He agrees to come back to Wayne Priory with us to speak with Joffrey about our next move. But oh no, we're not going back to Wayne Priory just yet. As you may know, there are a couple things we'll need later on in the main quest that we might as well grab now while we have Martin as an additional follower. Our first stop will be the Ayleid ruin of Vindicel. Now, some of you are scratching your head right now. Don't you have to be at least level 20 to begin Clavicus File's quest? Why are you trying to defeat Umbra instead of just going for Azura's Star? Well, first of all, you can complete this quest at any level if you manage to defeat Umbra, because it breaks the quest sequence in such a way that it unlocks Clavicus' quest regardless of player level. As for the second point, I have no idea why I went for Umbra. Just another challenge, I guess. Anyways, after being one-shot by a bandit with a big-ass hammer, we head into Vindicel. Come on guys, are you fucking serious right now? We encounter another hilarious bug where our followers are still taking damage from the poison gas room despite not actually being near the gas. We find Umbra and immediately clap her cheeks.
Get out of here.
Umbra shall feed! Umbra shall feed! I'm just warming up, you pathetic worm! Take that! Die, damn you!
is the part where you fall down and bleed to death.
Akato.
Umbra shall feed! Umbra shall feed!
Yeah, obviously this is a tad bit difficult, but eventually we managed to pull this off.
Umbra shall feed!
Watch out! You'll never take me down.
I actually counted the amount of attempts this took. 14 attempts. Yeah, next time just get a 0-star, little bro. We head to the Clavicus Vial shrine nearby, talk to Discajit, and interact with the dog's ass to skip Clavicus' dialogue and retrieve the mask of Clavicus Vial. I can't believe dog butt skip still works in the remaster. Not sure if it's intentional, but that sure is attention to detail. Our next stop will be yet another alien ruin named Miskarkin. Inside Miskarkin is the Great Welcome Stone, which, spoiler alert, along with the Daedric artifact we just collected, is an ingredient to open a portal to Mankar Cameron's paradise. There's actually not much to talk about here. I've done this run through Miskarkin about 1 trillion times, so we basically just speed run past all the enemies until we reach the room with the Great Welcome Stone. Whenever you grab this stone, the boss spawns in, known as the King of Miskarkin. Not sure if this happens in the remaster, but at least in the original, if you don't kill this guy and end up going to jail, he actually spawns right on top of you when you get out of jail. This actually happened to us in one of our previous challenges. We just let our followers kill him so we don't have to worry about that. Looting a few alien casts along the way, we just run straight out of Miskarkin and head to Wayne Priory. However, evil is afoot at Wayne Priory, as when we arrive, we find that it's being invaded by the Mythic Dawn Gooners. No problem, we'll just sit and supervise while everyone else does the hard work. Inside the chapel, Joffrey seems surprised that the enemy stole the Amulet of Kings from the not-so-well-hidden room inside the Priory. He's relieved, though, that Martin is alive, and suggests heading over to Cloud Ruler Temple to keep Martin safe while we figure out how to get the amulet back. At Cloud Ruler Temple, the Blades meet Martin for the first time. He gives a little awkward speech, and perhaps the best-worst cutscene of all time plays.
Real Septim.
Hail, Dragonborn! Hail, Mortal Septim! Hail!
Actually, sounds a lot better than it did in the original, not gonna lie. Martin seems to be a little self-conscious about his speech, but I mean, who could blame the guy? Just a normal guy suddenly thrust into the position of Emperor. Speaking with Joffrey, he tells us to meet up with our old pal Boris in the Imperial City. He apparently has some information on where we can find the Mythic Dawn. We head to Boris's favorite bar, Lutherbrod's boarding house, and upon entering, we find this suspicious-looking guy reading a book over here and take out years of pent-up anger on him.
Only the chosen will survive.
To everyone's surprise but mine, he was actually a Mythic Dawn agent. On his body, we find a book called The Commentaries on the Mysterium Xarxes. Apparently, within the 4 volumes of this book, we can actually find out where the Mythic Dawn are hiding out. Boris tells us to meet with an Argonian named Tarmina at the Arcane University, apparently an expert on all things Daedric cult. Tarmina graciously gives us her copy of the 2nd volume, but tells us she's never seen the 3rd or 4th volumes. She points us to Fintius at the 1st edition bookstore, as someone who may know where Volume 3 is. Fintius acts like a complete dick when he informs us that someone already reserved a copy of Volume 3.
Afraid it is a special order. Already paid for by another customer. Sorry. Gwyneth would be terribly disappointed if it was gone when he came to pick it up. So sorry I can't help you.
Honestly, he also sounds a little sarcastic. I don't like his attitude. Gwyneth, the guy who reserved the book, is quick to hand over Volume 3 after we tell him that the Mythic Dawn killed the Emperor, and we'd also smash his balls with a Mesa Moloch ball and slap his mom in the face with Spellbreaker if he didn't fork over the book. He also informs us that he had a meeting with the Mythic Dawn sponsor to obtain the 4th book. An excellent lead. We report our findings back to Boris, and he tells us to follow him into the sewers to the meeting spot. I'll be honest, it's kind of weird that he spends so much time in the sewers that he knows it like the back of his hand. Whenever we reach the meeting place, we insist on meeting with the sponsor, and here's why.
Take it. What? I didn't see it?
Yeah, you could just do that for some reason. Anyways, with all 4 commentaries in your inventory, you're supposed to go back to Tarmina to have her the code to secret message. However, we are him and have done this a million times, so we ignore that and just head to the Palace District and interact with this tomb between 12 PM and 1 PM. It's revealed this map with the Mythic Dawn headquarters conveniently highlighted. At the headquarters, the doorman lets us in, but Harrow here asks for all of our Nernlee possessions. We disagree with this command and instead run away like a pussy and let our followers deal with them. Running past all the enemies, we get to this door, pick the lock, and perform a devious slick on the Mysterium Xarxes. I said we perform a devious slick on the Mysterium Xarxes. Obviously, it's a little bit of a challenge just trying to run through all these enemies, but eventually we pull through and make it to the next room. Hey guys, postscript writing Alex here. I saw No Damage Run of this game recently and found out you can actually just hold Z on the Mysterium Xerxes and just carry it to the next door without the enemies aggroing you. The more you know. While Naruto running through these halls, we get a very strange glitch where the first person camera is above our head instead of on it, making us look like we're a foot taller than everyone else. This glitch actually persists until we reset the entire game. After totally not getting lost and dying a few times, we eventually find the way out of these caverns. However, while running away to de-aggro the enemies, we run into the singular wolf who manages to solo us after all the heroics we just performed. Eventually, we manage to take out one single wolf and fast travel to Cloud Ruler Temple.
By the 9, such a thing is dangerous even to handle.
Alright, dude, fine. Here, take it. Speaking with Joffrey, he informs us that there are Mythic Dawn spies operating out of Bruma that need to be dealt with. He tells us that we can either talk to the Blade Commander guy or Captain Bird in Bruma to find out where the spies are. But of course, we already know the location. If you go to the Rune Stone near Cloud Ruler Temple at 8 p.m., you'll find the spies just chilling there. For some reason, though, only one spy spawned here. This wasn't in the script. Spent the next while collecting the spy's plans from Jural's basement and looking for the other spy. Eventually, we just try waiting at the Runestone again, and the other spy just spawns. Weird. Our followers take her out, and the quest is completed. Back at the temple, Martin informs us that one of the things we need to open a portal to Mankar Cameron's paradise is a Daedric artifact. I know that he knows that we have it. Bro was literally with us when we collected it. Unfortunately, we have to give the completely useless Mask of Clavik his file. Honestly, it's crazy you only have to be level 2 to get the Azura Star, one of the best Daedric artifacts in the game, but you have to be level 20 to get this piece of shit. Meanwhile, in the 45 seconds we spent talking to Martin, an Oblivion Gate has opened up near Bruma, and we're tasked with leading the Bruma Guard inside and show them how to close Oblivion Gates. I just love closing Oblivion Gates. /S. Bird tells us that he needs to hype his men up first, but we don't care, so we run right into the Oblivion Gate and take a shortcut swimming through this lava like a complete Chad. We run past a few Drimera and into the main tower. Obviously, we've done this a time or two, so basically we just beeline straight to the Sigil Stone room. However, we horrifyingly realize that Bird is supposed to be in the room with us when we grab the stone. Actually, it's not horrifying, he appears in the room after waiting for 30 seconds. Of course, we make our quick save at the Sigil Stone and encounter a shitload of issues. Every time we quick load, the game crashes. Capital! After about 15 minutes of technical issues and constantly restarting the game, we finally get our shield enchantment. Back at Cloud Ruler Temple, Joffrey tells us that we should speak with all the leaders of the cities in Cyrodiil to send aid to Bruma, since the Bruma Guard can't hold off the Daedra indefinitely. We won't be doing this because it honestly does not make a single difference and it's technically optional. Martin tells us the next thing we need for the portal to paradise is a sample of divine blood. He tells us that we could find this divine blood on the armor of Tiber Septim. Joffrey, after telling us that he's sending us to our death, informs us that we can find Tiber Septim's armor inside the ruins of Sancrator. Well, thanks for having confidence in us, you dick. Before heading there, however, we make a useless pit stop to Rendir's staffs in the Imperial City. If you've seen my beating Oblivion without gaining experience video, you know that in the original Oblivion, you can actually blast the armor of Tiber Septim off its pedestal with any staff with an AoE damage effect and grab it through the invisible wall that guards it. However, this does not work in the remaster since there's actually a physical wall that nothing can penetrate, blocking you from taking the armor until you actually complete the quest the right way, like a good little boy. I hate when I have to do quests the intended way. If you guys know a way to break this, please do let me know in the comments. Anyways, between the clairvoyant spell making sure we never get lost and baiting our teammates to blast the undead blades with our spells, Sancrator isn't too bad actually. Look at how long it takes the entire gang to take down one ghost.
This is the part where you fall down and bleed to death.
Better do your worst. You'll never take me down. Show me what you've got. This is the part where you fall down and bleed to death.
Am I supposed to be impressed? This ends here. I've fought mud crabs more fearsome than you.
I've fought mud crabs more fearsome than you.
Do your worst. You're pathetic.
You die. You're pathetic.
You'll never take me down.
Man, the lines of dialogue during combat are still horrible and amazing at the same time. We also encounter a brand new bug where one of the ghosts of the blades actually gets into a scuffle with the undead blade. They're only supposed to spawn after you defeat the undead blade, so I don't know what's up with that. After offering the ghost of Valdemar a special favor, we grab the armor of Tiber Septim and dip. Back at Cloud Ruler Temple, Martin informs us that the next ingredient he needs is the Great Welkin Stone, located in the Ayleid ruin of Miskarkan. How convenient. We happen to already have that. Martin gets so excited that he gets naked. Oh yeah, and he also told us that we have to open a Great Oblivion Gate right next to Bruma and risk the safety of Tamriel to obtain a Great Sigil Stone. What the fuck, dude? We head to the Chapel of Talos to inform the Countess of Martin's crazy-ass plan. She doesn't seem happy that we have to do it using only Bruma's militia, but fine. Fuck it, it'll be fine. These guys wish we had more real soldiers.
For the
I wish we had more real soldiers.
whole of Cyrodiil.
I wish we had more real soldiers. I wish we had more real soldiers. I wish we had more real soldiers.
We must hope.
Martin can actually die here and fail the quest, but I've only ever had that happen once. So instead of actually helping, we just run around until the Great Gate opens. Not to sound like a broken record or anything, but we've done this 1,000 times. So enjoy this quick montage of speedrunning the Great Gate. Martin informs us that we have the final ingredient for the portal to paradise, and that the portal will be ready whenever we are. However, before heading off, we're going to make a couple of pit stops. Like I mentioned earlier, Mankar Cameron has a shitload of spell absorption and reflection, meaning that if we try to stack him with our spells, we're likely to just explode ourselves. However, he does not have any special resistance to poison. Our plan will be to use 2 weapons. One weapon equipped with both weakness to magic and weakness to poison 100% for 5 seconds, and a second weapon that's equipped with a drain health poison, courtesy of our man, Shady Sam. Unlike spells, repeatedly slashing someone with the same weapon enchantment will stack weakness effects. Essentially, just like with our spells, the weakness to poison will compound exponentially and one-shot Cameron with a single hit of our poison dagger. He can still absorb and reflect these stacks, but it's easier to quickly stab him with a dagger over and over, rather than trying to cast slow spells. We buy 2 poisons from Shady Sam, a silence poison and a drain health poison. As you'll see, the silence poison does not do much since Mankar will still have his staff. We then purchase 2 daggers, take these soul gems from the Arcane University that already have souls in them, and head to Frostcrack Spire to put our enchantments on. Worth noting that the weakness to magic has to be placed last in order to properly buff subsequent weakness to poison effects. Then, it's time. We make a full-blown save before heading into the portal to paradise. Unfortunately, our followers cannot follow us in here, but country girls make do.
You didn't think you could take me unawares here, of all places, in the paradise that I created.
Honestly, you're right. This was stupid. We should just turn back. We come across our best friend Kathy Tet. It's tradition that we never do this guy a favor, as we don't swing that way, instead opting to murder him. However, I am a donkey and forgot to get a paralysis spell, so we died him a few times. Not sure why, but we even tried pickpocketing him to get the bands of the Chosen. Eventually, we managed to kill him by telling him we'd do him a favor to not aggro him, punch his face, then summon a scamp to bait while we stack our spells on him. Ugh, put some clothes on, jeez. As we're running through and listening to Mankar yap, I'm actually legit sitting at my desk reciting the dialogue along with him. I've heard this dialogue so many times. We eventually come across Eldemil, who tells us that he can remove the bands of the Chosen from us if we participate in his freaky-ass prisoner roleplay. We tell him we're not in the mood to goon, and instead pickpocket the key off this guy and run into the next area. For some reason, none of the enemies here aggro on us. Eldemil removes the bands and tells us that he'll help us fight Mankar Cameron. However, this guy is a useless sack of shit in the battle. Outside the boss arena, we run into Ruma and Raven Cameron, telling us that there is no way we can kill their daddy. Oh yeah? Just watch this.
You cannot stop more Dagon again!
Fate chose you well.
Father will never be beaten by the likes of you.
That's better.
You know nothing
Strength
of my
against
father's
strength.
full power.
Dark. Crumbling, the mythic dawn grows nearer with every rift in the firmament.
Yeah, but we do get him eventually.
I have waited a long time for you, champion of old Tamriel. My vision will yet be realized.
I care! You are weak like the gods.
Down with strike me down, and my father's power will raise me up again.
It's honestly not too hard, just RNG on a spell, reflect, and absorption. Back at Cloud Ruler Temple, Martin is floored that we actually did it. He tells us we need to meet Chancellor Okado in the Imperial City Palace to officially crown him as Emperor. Things are going well until some nerd walks in and tells us that the Daedra are invading Imperial City, opening up Oblivion gates everywhere. We must defend Martin at all costs, so we Just run straight to the temple of the One with no regard for Martin's safety. Here we actually get bitch slapped by Mehrunes Dagon himself. Eventually, we get Martin inside the temple. With the power of love and friendship, Martin turns into Akatosh and casts Mehrunes Dagon straight back to hell. Oblivion.
Farewell. You've been a good friend in the short time that I've known you. But now I must go. The dragon waits.
God, that cutscene is sexy in the remaster. And with that, our challenge is complete. Final verdict, master difficulty on the remaster. Still way too hard and tedious, but it's twice as easy as in the original Oblivion. Honestly, that just shows how brutal it was in the original. Would I recommend playing Oblivion like this? No. Would I recommend playing the remaster? Absolutely. I believe this is the definitive way to play Oblivion in 2025. And if you're watching this video and somehow have never played Oblivion before, do yourself a favor and buy the Oblivion remaster. You will not be disappointed. Thanks for watching, guys. I know I've been out getting the milk for months, but I would like to return to making some more Oblivion content, so stay tuned and drop a like and a sub if you like this and are a sub. If this video gets 1,000 likes, I'll do a max difficulty, no hit, no followers, no spell casting run. Oh god, why did I say that? Alright, see ya.